Ayasama sariputto etadavocha Sammādiṭṭhi avuso vucchati. So you recognize the formula, I think we saw this before, that something is said, something is stated, and this is Venerable Sariputta introducing a number of terms in the sutta, and I'm picking it up. We're picking this up from nama rūpa, name and form. And so he is first. He's going to say. So he introduces this. He starts talking to the monks in the sutta that somebody is said to have a right view. Somebody is said to have correct attitude. And so he said, Ayasama sariputto. So he nominative. Avocha is in the past. He said, Ayasama sariputto. Etad avocha. So Sammādiṭṭhisutta avuso vucchati. Avuso, he's just addressing the monks, just as friends, or friend. And vucchati here is passive, and so it instead of somebody saying something, it's more in the sense of is said. And so he's going to give us the definition. Kittavatanuko avuso ariyasavako sammādiṭṭhi hoti ujutagasassaditti dhamme avicchappasadena samanagato agato imang sadammanti. So in Kittavata is in what way? So breaking it up is ki tavata, kittavata. In what, literally just means in what way, or how, to what extent. Is again addressing the other monks as a friend. How is it that the noble disciple is said to have right view? Ariyasavako Sammādiṭṭhi hoti. That he is of right view. And Sammādiṭṭhi here is again in nominative. So Ariyasavako, he is he is of right view. Ujutagatasaditti. So here we have to recognize the two parts. One part here is a pronoun, assa. Ujugatassaditti. And so the ujugata, you might recognize uju as a straight.
Good, well.
Correct, upright. Literally means upright, and so it's associated with something that is correct or in the right way or in the correct outlook. Or in the sharing of blessings, we chant Ujuchittam, upright mind. May I have upright mind, Ujuchittam.
And Samanupasi, the Ujupatipanna. No?
I think so.
Panno. He is practicing. He's practicing straight, right? He's practicing upright. Ujupatipanno. And so assa.
The avusto is vocative.
Vocative. That's right. He's addressing them. He's speaking to their friends about the noble disciple. How does he have right view? How is he gone to the correct, the upright? How is he of an upright view? So this is here a genitive from assa is from ima. Imassa. It's a sandhi from there, and so he is of that upright view. Ujutagatasaditti dhamme avecca pasadena samannagato. So in the Dhamma, locative, he is the two parts here is avicca and pasada. So avicca is from like someone who has a thorough penetrative understanding of something. He is of absolute understanding, and he has perfect clarity in this case. Pasada is something that is bright or clear. It also means someone who is faithful, but in the sense that this is in this brightening quality. And so he is possessed of absolute understanding. So the whole compound is ena. You recognize it in the instrumental, and he is possessed of it and endowed with. Agato. So this is relating to, so Sammādiṭṭhisutta relates to the Arya Savaka, and same with Agato. So we're still qualifying the noble disciple. Agato, do you recognize the meaning of here?
God.
So gacchati is to go.
To come.
Okay.
Go
Gato is to have gone.
Become.
Agacchati is to come. And so agato is that he has come. Right, so it's, and in the sense that he has arrived. Right, somebody who is who has arrived at a state. Literally can be arrived to, like it can mean somebody like a guest, but in this case he entered into the state, into this true Dhamma. So you recognize the Sadhamma is Sa Dhammang, and so he has arrived to this true Dhamma.
instrument or ability?
Ena is instrumental. Should be light blue. That's right. Ena. Hello, Ajahn Gavisaku. Please come in.
I forgot so much.
We're deep into the right view already.
Oh, okay.
We have already arrived to this true Dhamma.
Oh, okay. I also arrived.
But now Ajahn Gavisaku is also arrived.
Agato. Very good. Oh, okay.
Ajahn Titapanyu, can I ask you to read the next sentence until Patipada?
Katamang anauso namarupang katamo namarupa samudayo katamo namarupa nirodo katama namarupa nirodagamani patipada.
That's right, thank you. To recognize the interrogative, the question word at the beginning. Katamang.
No, I was guessing how? Is it how or what? No, I'm not sure.
Or what? What is? What friends?
Is this plural? Katamang?
Katamang. What is the? So he's going to ask, what is Namarupa?
It's the ending has to be some Katamang.
Oh. So Katamang Namarupa. And in the middle, it's addressing the avuso, the friends. So it's Pana avuso. Pana is like continuing a sentence, similar to like cha. So Katama and friends, what is Namarupa? So here this is just vocative. Katamam Namarupam. And this is nominative. What is the nominative? Because rūpa is neuter. And its nominative case is with this ang ending. So what is name and form? But samudaya is masculine, and so its nominative is in the o ending. So what is the origin of name and form? Katamo nama rūpa samudayo. The nama rūpa, so nirodo again is these are all nominatives here, but the different genders come out interestingly. So what is like again nama rūpa? What is the cessation of name and form? And what is the nama rūpa? Niroda gamini.
I think sometimes it could be written even in one word with the Patipada.
Patipada, yes, that's right. So it could be made into a compound too. So he's asking, what is the Patipada is feminine, and that's why it's here its nominative form ends in the a ending. So Katama is asking, what is the path? What is the path which is the sort of path that goes to the end of, that leads to the end of name and form? Right, so the Nama Rupa Nirodha Gamini is qualifying the path. And so here he gives us the definition. So Vedana, Sanya, Chetana, Passo, Manasikaro, Idam Vuchatavaso Namam. Ajahn Kongrit, do you recognize some of the terms? Vedana.
Nirodhagamini patipada.
So in the definition from starting from Vedana.
Vedana. เวทนาสัญญาเจตนาอัสโสมนสิกโรยเนาะอิดังวุจจตอาวุอิดังวุจติอาวุโสนามัง
That's right. So he's defining the nama part of nama rūpa, and the four terms are. Please tell us.
First Vedana feeling.
This is feeling.
Perception.
Sanya is perception.
Cetana is volition.
Yes?
Yeah, that's
Volition. Aso contact.
that's right. And manasikaro is attention. You'll remember it from Yoniso Manasikara. That's right. So it's so all these are nominatives. So he's saying the feeling, the perception, the volition, the contact, the attention. This is called friend's name. Vujjati, avuso. You could break it up like that. So this is the group of what he calls name. And so there's an interesting thing here is there's a progression in refinement from Vedana to Manasikara. That Vedana is the most basic, and the mental, complexity increases until attention. So Vedana is the three feelings, right? It's a very basic, it's a very fundamental, phenomenal experience. And then from feeling, there's a perception, there's a recognition that you build up from recognizing a certain feeling to be a certain way. And then from that perception, there's you have a certain intentionality that you know what are you going to do with it, right? And all this brings contact into play. There's so contact will be something I wanted to look at later in more detail, but so the you recognize the object is where contact happens, is when you have perceived what is happening and there is a grasping of a certain pattern or a certain signs, and this makes the object apparent in your mind. And to that object you have an attention. So in this way there's this progression of mental sophistication, if you like. And so let's continue. Ajahn Gavisako, can I ask you to read the next definition?
Chattaricha mahabhutani chatunnancha mahabhutanam upadaya rūpam idam vucchatavuso rūpam. So this is formed like two kind of clauses. That's why there is the cha, and there's two cha. So it's actually Chattari Mahabhutani, the four great elements also is the same. Mahabhuta is the same as Dhatu, the four elements are also called the great primary properties, whatever, Mahabhuta. And then Mahabhuta. Bhuta is something that exists. Bhuta can be a being, like the Bhuta, Bhutani. But also it means just the primary elements. So the four primary elements, and then Chatunang, it should be Chatunang Mahabhutanang Upadaya Rupang, but they put the Cha after the Chatunang, so first, from the four great elements, Upadaya Rupang, derived form. So the form that is derived from the four great elements.
So that's right, and the four elements and forms that are derived from it, right? So you have the solidity, like earthiness. You have
liquidity,
flexibility, liquidity. You have some way of temperature, heat, and then cavities or the air quality. And we talked about this the other day, that the translation elements is not particularly helpful because it leads into a sort of an atomical view of the four elements. You know, the idea that something is composed out of little parts that are made into bigger parts, and this is not the intention where the dhatus are concerned. That you have an experience of solidity, you have an experience of flexibility, you have an experience of heat and cavities or movement and
properties, we said.
And so that's right. So these are properties. These are properties of matter that you experience. It's not the intention is not this idea that we learn from physics, for example, that you have an object and you break it down into atoms, and those atoms move in certain way. That's a very like we get that from our Western education, but this is not the same. The dhatus don't have this purpose. You just learn what things are by interacting with them and what your experience of them is, and that phenomena of experience is what the primary focus here.
So the derived form, it's actually from upadhyati, same as upadana, grasping, but in this sense it doesn't actually relate to that term, it's just a common word in Pali, how to say something is derived from something else, something is based on something else. So upadaya rupa means like all the various forms, like human bodies and animal bodies, and these are all kinds of forms you can make out of these four properties. That's what it means.
Yeah, so there's where is it? I wanted to show you some of you might know this book.
No.
The Buddha's Teaching, Its Essential Meaning by Vetimuni, and he has a good discussion on the dhatus. On page 2, he talks about that it refers to a physical reality, but only in your perception of it, not in the sense of breaking it down to elements like a physicist would. And his translation here is modes of behavior, because this is how you identify it. You identify something as solid by its mode of behavior. Very interesting chapter to read if you're interested. Paste this here. Does that work? Okay. So we defined nama, we defined rūpa, and then the two together is nama rūpa. Iti idam ca namam, iti idam ca namam, idam ca rūpam, idam guccatavuso nama rūpam. So we have said what is name, we have said what is form, and this friend is name and form. And so like for example, the oldest one of the older translations is body and mind, right? And it's a very misleading to take it in those terms, especially when he continues. So Venerable Sariputta is explaining what you should understand as name and form, and so he puts it in context of that this is a dependently originated phenomena, and correct, so right view, where he's trying to describe somebody's perspectives who have right view, and so the correct perspective should be that understanding is that the origin of name and form is dependent on vijnana. So vijnana samudaya nama rupa samudayo is from, would this be ablative?
Yeah, ablative.
Yeah, that's right. This would
from the arising of consciousness is the arising of nama rupa.
Yeah, that's right. So there's no verb here. The verb is omitted. Just says from the arising of consciousness there is the arising of name and form, and from the cessation of consciousness there is the cessation of name and form.
The vijnana sampadaya is Pāli.
Again, please.
This is our critique, the vijnana.
Yes, ablative. Yeah,
Ablative. That's right. From it.
from something.
So ayam eva. So
What does it mean?
ayam eva ariyo attangiko maggo. The
Four. From
the eightfold noble path is the verily so he continues the explanation. Verily the noble eightfold path, like all nominative, is leading to the end of nama rupa. So we're familiar with, that it leads to the end of dukkha, but whatever way we try to explain nama rupa, it has to be in these terms, is that the noble eightfold path ends nama rupa. And so that's why for this body and mind translation is very misleading, right? Because the practicing the noble eightfold path, does it end your body and your mind? It's that doesn't work. But if nama rupa is understood in this context of perception and experience, then practicing the eightfold path is something that undoes conditioning, like undoes sankatas, undoes letting go of signs and perceptions, and so on. The vijnana here is so consciousness encompasses the idea of recognized, of being cognitive of an object, like be distinguishing or differentiating. Like vijnana is that you're conscious of something out of a background. Like you're cognizant of an object, and because of that cognition is where you have an experience of name and form of it. But that experience of name and form again is going to condition, it's going to feed back into your experience of vijnana. So the two has these like a whirlpool is the vortex type relationship.
You can't think of objects without some awareness of them, and you can't think of consciousness without something there being conscious.
That's right. And so the two come together, the two arise together and cease together. And so the Noble Eightfold Path, practicing it leads to the ending of name and form, which is, and so Sayatidam Sammādiṭṭhi until Samma Samadhi. And this friend, Yatoko Avuso Arya Savako Evam Nama Rūpam Khajjanīyasutta. Do you recognize the verb here, Ricardo?
Where's the verb?
About Khajjanīyasutta, don't remember what it means.
Know what they call observe Khajjanīyasutta in Sammādiṭṭhisutta.
That's right. He knows it. It's just there's a knowing. There's awareness of it. So Nama Rūpam Khajjanīyasutta. The noble
disciple.
The noble disciple. He knows.
He knows thus the name and form.
He knows Nama Rūpa and he knows it
Thus.
this way.
Yeah. In this particular way. Yeah.
So this he relating to the explanation that he has just given. This is how he understands name and form. This is in the context of right view, right? This is the correct perspective of name and form.
And Yatoko is when.
That's right. He says when he has this right view. Yatoko avuso. And thus, and when he has the origin, when he knows the origin this way, when he knows the cessation this way, when he knows the path leading to the end of name and form this way, like you can ask yourself, this is I find this practical instruction. It's like how do I let go of this? What is the path that leads to the end of this this object in my mind? And the answer has to be it's the Eightfold Path. It's practicing the Eightfold Path that is letting go of these signs, and like thus he knows the ending of the path leading to the end of name and form.
And now here, this yato is the beginning of like the clause. Then all of this up to now, then that's the first part, and then so is he. That relates to so, and now the rest continues, but actually this what follows right behind it is again another inserted clause, and so the so is then related to the very end. Dukkha santakara hoti. He becomes one and who ends all dukkha. Right? Yeah, that's how you have to read it. Hoti. And this which is in between are more like qualifying terms.
So when the noble disciple knows this, he has completely abandoned the tendency to lust. He
having, like the Pahaya is having done all this, and then he's the one who makes an end of dukkha. So like you have to see how it's constructed, But in English we probably say just he abandons the underlying tendency to passion. He dispels the underlying tendency to resistance.
Yes, but there's a time sequence.
Exactly, but in English translation often it's not so apparent, so sometimes this becomes crucial in some kind of argumentation. What do you do first? Like, do you have to abandon the hindrances and then you attain jhana. I know they have argued with this with John.
That's right. First, it's what is it that you're experiencing, the basic terms, and what is the correct attitude to it.
Right.
Like you see it in terms of arising and ceasing in a dependent condition, and then the result of it is that there is an abandoning, a letting go of the underlying tendency to lust. There is a dispelling, what is the driving out, having removed, completely removed the underlying tendency to
resistance,
repulsion, to push away. And so having done that, the asaniti,
uprooted the samuhanate is like uproot or completely
eradicate.
So
hanati is to kill, isn't it? And, hanati is to kill, and so he completely kills it. He uproots it, or he eradicates it.
The view and conceit of I am, tendency to view and conceit I am.
That's true. And so after having uprooted that, you can say that he has abandoned avijjam pahaya, he has abandoned the ignorance, and he has given rise to knowledge. Vijjam upaditava, and ditteva dhamme, in the visible, present,
here and now,
in this Dhamma, he has made an end of suffering.
Yeah, but the way it's presented in Pāli is they make it into an agent, like he is one, antakara is somebody who makes an end. So dukkha antakara, one, he is one, he becomes one who has ended dukkha. But anyway,
Dhamme is locative or vocative?
Locative, so in the Dhamma.
Yeah, Ditteva Dhamme is locative. It's Dittha Eva Dhamme. In this visible, situation or whatever. It's an idiom. Ditteva Dhamme. Here and now, we say in English.
Here and now, in this Dhamma, made an end of suffering. And so he ends the explanation with ettavata kuavaso aryasavako Sammādiṭṭhisutta, that this is how a noble disciple is of right view, this is how his view is upright. Ujjugatassa, he has gone to the upright perspective, to the upright view.
But this is actually, you have to break down the Ujjugatassa. So, he is Sammādiṭṭhi, he is one of right view, and then Ujjugata Assa Diṭṭhi. So Assa is of him, belonging to him, to that person, meaning,
because of Assa here, this is genitive, of him.
Genitive. And Ujjugata, because Diṭṭhi is feminine, so it's Ujjugata Diṭṭhi. The view is gone straight.
He has penetrative or perfectly clear understanding, perfectly clear confidence, or that's right, perfect clarity, perfect confidence, and he has arrived to the true Dhamma. Agatu arrived in this good Dhamma. Okay.
Ujjugata says what? Genitive?
It says it's like Ujjugata Diṭṭhi means the view that is going straight or gone straight, direct. And then the Assa means Ujjugata Assa Diṭṭhi. The Assa means of him, of that person. So his view is straight.
And it's genitive, is that it?
Ujjugata Assa Diṭṭhi. Yes, the Assa is genitive.
Okay, so that was one sutta.
Wow. Khajjanīya. Wow.
And then let's read Khajjanīyasutta. This is we'll come to the chewing.
Yes.
The chewing that we saw in the exercises at the beginning. So that just to this is a sutta that is referenced actually often in explanations about rūpa and the khandhas, because if you try to objectify rūpa as objects, for example, then your explanations are not in line with these definitions. Right? If you try to say that rūpa is the physical body, then then it doesn't work with the definition that Venerable Sariputta just given.
Yes.
And in this sutta as well, it highlights very well the that form is how to say, you should see the understanding of it is that it's an experience of form. And the sutta, by the way, goes through all the 5 khandhas, but we are just going to read the parts that's relating to form here. So, kincha bhikkave rūpam vadeta.
Kincha rūpam vadeta.
Kincha is which?
It's from kincha bhikkave rūpam.
And what?
And what? The cha is and
what?
But kim is the
Kincha and what? Bhikkhus, vocative, so addressing the bhikkhus. Vadeta is
plural vadeta.
what is what do they call form? Why or why?
Yeah.
Kincha here would be better, maybe why or how. In what is the reason? What is the reason it's called? They call it form.
Yes, they call it body.
And so Rupat, for each of the khandhas in this sutta, the Buddha associates a verb. And so from rūpam, he says rūpati, which is the English translation don't give back this grammar, this similarity between the 2 forms. Is that direct translation is something like being afflicted, or being impressed on, or irritated. I think Ajahn Sujato translates as itching. That something is making like a painful impression on you. And again, Ajahn?
Vedata.
Oh, vadeta. He's asking about vadeta. Vadeta is plural, like you say. Why or how? Why do you say? Or do they say? Like plural, it's a plural form. Like vadati, he says. Like we say, kamatame bhante. May you forgive me. It's a plural form. You have to look it up maybe in your, because I don't know the grammatical term. Singsapa has vadeta. Do you have it?
Vadeta.
Vadeta. His name is Kamata.
So from it's the conjugations that you're interested in.
Yeah, that's it. Vadeta. Vadeta is a plural. That's right, I think it's this one. Optative.
Why would you say form?
Yeah, something like that.
Why would somebody say form? Optative is
May.
would or may or why should.
Yeah.
Right. This is the sense.
Why would you say?
Bhikkhu Bodhi has a very creative way of translating it from. So if you take Rupa's form, he translates Rupati as something that deforms or deformed.
Yeah, it is deformed.
Like deformed. I like it because he's trying to highlight this being afflicted, like being affected.
Deformed.
That your experience is affected by the four primary elements and the other things that you're experiencing, and this is an impression on you.
Deforming is always some kind of negative, painful experience. Yeah, it's the best way. Basically, the Pali word rupati is not grammatically, etymologically related to rupa. If you look at maybe the Sanskrit equivalent, it becomes obvious they are not related. But the Buddha often uses something that sounds similar to make some point, some meaning out of it. So it's the same. He's trying to, recreate that in English somehow.
Yes. Okay. So let's try to be. So addressing the bhikkhus, rupati ko bhikkhave. So it is afflicted or deformed.
Rupatiti, it is afflicted. It is deformed.
Afflicted, deformed. Therefore, ablative. From this.
Therefore.
From this, rupang, they say. It is deformed, therefore it is form.
Rupanti, again, it should be rupang m with a dot, but
that's right. This
because
is
of it's like a quote, so it becomes rupanti.
So kena rupati, by what? By what it is deformed, or by what it is afflicted, and
is instrumental.
By instrumental.
Kena is instrumental, and so you get this sense of being afflicted because the list is by cold, sitena, unhena, by hot, by heat, jiggachayapi, by hunger, pipasayapi, by thirst. These are all things that are afflicting you. And you remember the creepy crawlies, the mosquitoes, flies, wind, and the contact of all, right, the different kind of creatures. They are again. That's right. You remember this. So these are all deforming. These are all afflicting you. This is why he calls it. This is what form. Form is what is being afflicted. So rupatiti ko bhikkhave tasamārupanti vucchati. So he just repeats the same definition. And in the sutta, he goes through the other khandhas as well. So if we look at
it's quite interesting. The examples.
So Vedanam is Vedayatiti. So feeling, it feels. It feels happiness, it feels pain, it feels neutral feeling. Sanya is knows or perceives. Sanyam, sanjani. He takes the same roots. Perception perceives. It perceives blue and different colors, like it's a perception. Sankhari, what does Sankhara do? Sankhara conditions the conditioned. it prepares
fabricates the fabricated.
Yes, that's right. Fabricates the fabricated. That's why they call it a fabrication. And so it fabricates perception from perception. Sanyang sanyataya. And so Ajahn concluded this about your question about vijnana. What is vijnana as opposed to mano and chitta. So here this is an example of why do they call it vijnana? They call it cognition because it cognizes, or that it knows something. Like vijnanam vijanati is that it's used in the sense of recognizes something, that it knows something. It knows that
they use tastes.
like here these are
Ends up like sour and sweet. Yeah, there are various interpretations why the Buddha. For sanya he uses colors, and for vijnana he uses tastes. It's a bit hard to understand why. As an example,
but you
something.
it's something that you recognize. It's something that you're conscious of.
Focus on colors.
Yeah.
มัน know that you can the something that you can think.
I'll find better examples for those three terms later, but this for vijnana is quite useful. You know this making this distinction that this is sweet or this is hot or this is salty, making that distinction is what is cognizing. That is the function of that is described with vijnana. And so going back to rūpa, so this is always you remember these are instructions for leading to liberation, and so he continues the explanation with talking about the noble disciple. So tatra bhikkave sutava arya savako iti patisanchikkati. How would you translate this, Ajahn Tirapanyo?
So indeed, having heard a noble disciple reflects us.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So therefore, or this way, because the noble disciples who has heard the teaching, he considers the following. Ahanko etarahi rūpena khajjāmi. So, how would you translate this, Ajahn Gavisako?
Ahanko, I indeed, etarahi, now, etarahi just means now, rūpena khajjāmi, by the form, through the form, by the form, khajjāmi, I'm eaten, I'm being eaten by the form. I'm being devoured, I'm being chewed up by the form.
So it's not, so we looked at the example where the rats are chewing on the santata, undure hipi. Is that the rats, so khajjāmi takes an instrumental.
Right.
It takes an instrumental, and so somebody is chewed by something, somebody is eaten by something.
Yes.
So it's not I am doing the chewing.
Right.
It's something is chewing on me.
Yeah.
Or here, like this relates to the this explanation that it's afflicted, that it's impressed on you, that it's making an impression on you. That's what this being chewed on gives you, communicates.
That's right. So I'm being chewed on by form. Atitang pahang adhanang. So that this is again. So it should be atitang adhanang, which means in the past times. Atita is the past. Adhana is like the times, past times, and then there is the ahang. I in the past. Evameva rūpena khajin. In the same way, evameva, just the same, was was eaten by form. Khajin is a past tense.
Yes, I was chewed.
I was
chewed
chewed.
by form.
I was chewed by form. Evam eva, just like that. In the
The
same
kajing,
way.
it's an adjective here, no?
No. That's the past. Instead of kajami is now, and kajing means I was eaten in the past.
Okay. So rūpena kajing.
Mm-hmm.
So ahang rūpena kajing.
Yeah, ahang rūpena kajing.
Yes.
In the same way.
In the past.
Atitang adhanam, that's a kind of phrase that just means in the past times, sometime in the past. Yeah.
Again, please.
Khajjan, Khajin, it means eating, having, not eat. Yeah.
Ate, like in the past, yeah, is a past tense. I was being eaten. So it's a kind of very complicated form. Chewed by, but in the past. I was being chewed on by the form. Seyathapi, just like now in the past, in this moment, pachupannena rūpena khajami. So etarahi means now, pachupannena rūpena, the presently arisen form, khajami. I am being eaten by the presently arisen form, pachupanna rūpa, means the presently arisen form.
That's right. We're still talking about the noble disciples reflecting about his experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is his patisanchikkati. He's reflecting.
Yeah. Etarahi is now. I don't think typed it there. It just means now.
It's indeclinable. So.
Yeah. Seyathapi is just as. Okay. And pachupanna means the pachupanna dhamma, the presently arisen phenomena. But in this case, it's pachupanna rūpa, the presently arisen form. And then there will be the future. What follows is the future.
That's right.
And that's expressed. Seyathapi means in the same way, or something. How do we translate it in Satipatthana?
In the same.
Satipatthana is also Seyathapi.
Just as.
The
same as.
Just as, in the same way. Yeah, just as. Right.
Just as now, in the same way now, and then
the future is expressed, but the verb, you will notice, when talking about the future now, is expressed as I think it's called optative. It's like a potential future, what might happen.
The form that I might delight in.
Yeah, so instead of being a straight, because you would think, the future will be expressed as abhinandisami or something, like in the future this is happening, but in fact in Pāli it's often expressed with this eya ending. So aham cheva ko, so aham eva, aham plus eva, it means like if or when, just as when I, kopana is like a complicated Pāli phrase, aham cheva kopana, I in the future, anagatang rūpang abhinandeyam, if I was to delight in the future form. Anagata rūpa means the future form.
So I might delight.
I might delight in rūpa, which is anagata.
The rūpang in the form which is future form.
Future form, anagata. Yeah.
Anagatam qualifying the rūpa, so it takes the same case.
Exactly. And then anagatang pahang adhanang evameva rūpena khajjayam. So that means you have to break it down. Anagatang pi ahang. Pi ahang. So that's like in the future also me, or I. So I also in the future times, adhana means just time,
I would be chewed.
I would be chewed. Khajjanīyam, I mean, would be chewed on by the future form.
Right? The future form would deform me.
Would deform.
The future form would afflict me.
Evam is just like this.
I can say here, like the form here gives you this really an experience. Like in the future, I would have these experiences, and they would afflict me. They would have an effect on me.
And then it continues. Seyatapi, just as.
Maybe rūpena is objective or instrument.
It's instrumental, so by form, by the four dhatus or the derived materiality.
Yeah. If I'm going to delight in the future rūpa, then I will be eaten by the future rūpa. I will be chewed by the future rūpa.
Just as now,
now
form is eating you.
Yeah, that's right. Just as now, the present, the Pachupanna rūpa is chewing on me.
I am being chewed on instrumental again, instrumental there. Yeah. Can I ask you, I saw some time ago Abhayagiri chanting book, like many years ago, 15 years ago. They have changed their chanting book in the 5 khandas. They were not chanting Rupang, Anicang, form is impermanent, but the body is impermanent. They changed it. Is it still the case?
Well, now we use the Anuratti chanting book.
Okay, so it went back to... Because I thought at that time, it just like blurred the distinction between the Kaya and the Rupa, whereas in the Pāli they are kind of separate. But I guess it seemed like a common sense thing to do for the Americans.
I think we...
Yeah, well, I think there's actually a quadriplegic or paraplegic who was arguing that.
Oh, very important. I see.
Yeah. Named Daniel Barnes is kind of an important person in early days of Biden. That's the story I heard.
Mm-hmm.
To make it more accessible for people, I guess. Maybe I'm a bit guessing it was.
Oh, I see.
Something.
Very interesting to hear sometimes these stories that why a particular translation was preferred. you never find out who was arguing for it and why.
Yeah.
I heard another explanation. I think somebody said, well, it was because chanting form is impermanent, might like undermine the faith of the juniors in the monastic form.
Well, we have now proved the absolutely correct translation, and everything else is wrong. And so let's finish. The ending is very nice too. That what is the result? What is the result of reflecting this way? So the Ariyasa, the noble disciple, is considering this.
So Itipati Sankhaya.
Jangavisako, can you read it, please?
So Itipati Sankhaya atitasming rupasming anapekho hoti. So he, reflecting like this, iti patisankhaya, having reflected like this, yeah. Atitasming rupasming anapeko hoti. He like anapeko means like disinterested. Yeah, he becomes indifferent, and then now atitasming rupasming in the past form. That's expressed in a locative, yeah. But we would say towards. He becomes indifferent towards the past. Atita rupa. Atitasming rupasming. In Pāli is always in the locative. So yeah.
So he is anapeko. So
Yeah.
he becomes. And anapeko is if you break it down, it's he's not looking forward to.
Yeah.
He's not looking.
I'm interested. I'm looking for it. Okay.
Anagatang rupang, but with past form, is nadinandati.
With
He's
future
not-
form. Future form.
Future form. That's right. Anagatang, not arrived. The not arrived future form. He is.
He does not delight.
He's not
Delighting.
delighting, or he's not welcoming.
Yeah.
Like he's not hoping that it will come. It's just anagatam rūpam nāvinandati.
And pachupana sarupasa nirgidaya viragaya nirodhaya patipano hoti. So this is again, so he saw from the beginning, patipano hoti. So he is patipano, one who is practicing.
In the present moment.
Yeah, patipano hoti. Yeah, so yeah, and then patipano hoti means he is practicing, and then for what, or for what purpose? And that is, I think it's dative actually.
Yes, that's right.
Pachupanasa rupasa, yeah. Pachupanasa rupasa means of the present form, or towards the nibbida, viraga, nirodha of the present form. So disenchantment and dispassion and cessation of the present form.
This is genitive, no?
But I think in Pāli, genitive and dative have the same ending, and sometimes it's sort of like for the ending, but we would say in English of. We would just consider it of.
So yeah. of the present form,
yeah,
towards nibbana.
Yeah, he's one who's practicing for the cessation, dispassion, disenchantment, cessation of the presently arisen form. Yeah, I mean, I guess it could be genitive or dative. They have the same ending in Pāli, so sometimes it's hard to distinguish.
You could have either way. You could translate it. You could translate the sentence either way, and it would give you the same meaning. A related term I wanted to paste in here is about. So this is impressions, right? So we are talking about the khandhas, and in this case, in terms of form, being a sense impression. And in the Nibbana sermons, Venerable Jnananda has a good description of how nama and rūpa, they are related to patigha sanya and rūpa sanya. Patigha in this case is patigha usually we translate it as repulsion, right?
Emotional resistance.
That's right, an emotional resistance. But in this case, patigha is a resistance in your perception, like in English the impression. You have a sense impression. It gives you this sense that something is pressing on, right?
Yeah.
Something is making an impression onto your senses, and so in that sense, patigha is this resistance impression.
It's really like they call it the hardness of form. When you hit your hand on the table.
Or any experience, any experience is something that makes an impression on you, and so this is.
But in a way, it's also something how you can distinguish which part of your experience is rūpa and which part is nama. The rūpa is what we would call the hard part. The bit you cannot argue away, or if you change your attention, it will still be there somehow because it's making some kind of impression. The table will be there, but the other one is adivacana sampasa, is like the naming part. You are relating to it in a certain way through your perception, through attention.
It's probably why vijnana is associated with taste, because it's very specific.
That's what
and
some
the
people
perception
argue.
and the perception is something that is always there, like the color red or whatever it is, and it's the same for everybody. And then vijnana is.
It's quite a. We can talk about it sometime later. It's quite complex. This topic.
Yes, I think I want to return to contact later, and we'll talk about this more. But I think for today, this has been a good reading.